Recognize this? In brightest day and blackest night, no evil can escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. I feel heroic as fuck right now. They're super confident cops in space who are pretty much just wearing green light. Buckle up, nerdlings, because today we're talking about Green Lantern. What's up, nerdlings, and welcome back to my channel! Oh yeah. Good job. If you are new, welcome. My name is Danny Sanssouci, licensed cosmetologist and registered super nerd, and this is Comics and Cosmetics, where I talk about whatever nerdy topic I've been obsessing about that week while doing my makeup at the same time while you watch. So if you wouldn't mind, slap that subscribe button, hit the like, and make sure you ring that bell so you get notifications when, I decide to keep doing this. This week, as I told you from the future, we are discussing the Emerald Knight himself, the Green Lantern. But it's a legacy title, so there's a lot of Green Lanterns. Like a lot. So, disclaimer. Not only are there like 9, I think, Green Lanterns, human from Earth, but it's like a police force. It's a galactic police force. So there are literally thousands upon thousands of Green Lanterns out there. So I'm going to give you basically a brief synopsis on each of our human Green Lanterns from Sector 2814, and a little bit of information on the mythos. And there are 9 different lantern cores. Those are facts. I found my eyelash. So lanterns wield the power of the emotional spectrum. And the emotional spectrum is like a light spectrum or a color spectrum. Each of the lanterns derive their power from the energy these emotions on the emotional spectrum produce. And those correlate to a color. Each has their own specific color. Now, the first one that everyone is the most familiar with are the Green Lanterns. Green represents will. Has anyone ever told you you were strong-willed, stubborn? Then maybe you'd be selected for the next Green Lantern. The next on the emotional spectrum, the Lantern core, is yellow, the second most widely known, mainly because of who created this core and leads it currently, Sinestro, known as originally the Yellow Lantern core. It's also known as the Sinestro core. Even when they do their oath, they don't call it, the Yellow Lantern's light. They call it Sinestro's might. Blackest day and brightest night, beware your fears made into light. Let those who try to stop what's right burn my power, Sinestro's might. The next is orange, and it represents greed, or the fancy word, avarice. That, as you could probably imagine, is wielded by only one. His name, Fleece, and since the orange spectrum is powered by greed, then it is safe to say that whomever would be wielding the power ring for greed would not want anyone else to have it. So you have one dude, and his name is Fleece, who also calls himself Agent Orange. He once came to Earth because he wanted to meet Santa Claus. He's kind of funny, and his oath is basically, What's mine is mine and mine and mine. Not yours. Makes sense, right? The next one is Indigo, and it's not really referred to as the Indigo core, it's the Indigo Tribe, and their color represents or is powered by compassion. That core was started by Abensour, who we will discuss later. Roughly translated, compassion be with you. From Indigo, you have Blue. Blue is the color of hope. It is referred to as the strongest and the weakest of the lantern cores. In fearful day and raging night, with strong hearts full, our souls ignite. When all seems lost in the war of light, look to the stars for hope burns bright. Next we have Red. As you could probably deduce, red is the color of rage. They are the rage lanterns, and their oath is, with blood and rage of crimson red, ripped from a corpse so freshly dead, together with our hellish hate, will burn you all, that is your fate. From Red, you have Star Sapphire, which is basically the pink lanterns. The original Star Sapphire was Carol Ferris, who was, Hal Jordan's friend, love interest, enemy, etc. Went back and forth. But later they made it into a core. Like they figured out that the gems were too much for, women, namely women. There were only women in this core. And they felt like it was too much power for one person to control. So the gem would control them, made him a bad guy. Star Sapphire was not a good guy. So they forged it into rings. And after they did that, when they wore the rings, they could control the power of the Star Sapphire and not be controlled by it. So now it's a whole core. Even Wonder Woman was a Star Sapphire. Yeah. And this will all make sense once we get into Green Lantern. I just want to tell you all the different lanterns. For hearts long lost and full of fright, for those alone in blackest night, accept our ring and join our fight. Love conquest all with violet light. We have the black lanterns, and the black lanterns are led by the Black Hand, and their color means and they can, their lanterns are all like reanimated corpses.
The blackness falls from the skies, the darkness grows as all light dies. We crave your hearts and your demise. By my black hand the dead shall rise.
And then you have the white lanterns, and the white lanterns. I'm gonna back up. Because the black lanterns, they're supposed to represent death, right? And they're saying that they're black lanterns and they represent death because they're devoid of all the colors from the color spectrum. I am a colorist by trade, educated, licensed, professional colorist. I am intimately aware of and knowledgeable in the literal science of color. And I am here to tell you that black is not devoid of all color. It is all the colors. All of them. Okay. Science. It's actual science. Which brings me back to the white lanterns, which represent life, the opposite of the black lanterns, death. And they say they're the most powerful because they contain all the colors of the emotional spectrum. Okay, no. Again, I'm a professional colorist, and white is the absence of color. White is the absence of color. Black is all of the colors. Just wanted to throw that out there. So, with that being said, let my ring shine the brightest light. When evil comes, I will join the fight. The power of my lantern shines the brightest light. The last lantern core is ultraviolet, and that one is ruled by the invisible emotional spectrum, and the ultraviolet lanterns are ruled by negative feelings, hidden negative feelings, things you keep to yourself and you don't want anyone else to know, stuff you bottle up. Let's face it, this is why people can't actually read minds, because there's stuff that you think about in your head that other people don't need to know. It's just human nature. Things pass through our minds. No need to make a lantern out of it.
We feed and grow beyond all sight. Your darkness self shall be our night. Wield the sword of unseen light.
With that being said, nerdlings, let's dive right in to what we're here to talk about, the green lanterns. The first green lantern ever was Alan Scott. He was created by Martin Odell and Bill Finger. You know, that guy that DC basically screwed over for about 75 years, and subsequently his family for, you know, not acknowledging him co-creating Batman. You know that guy? Yeah, he created Green Lantern. Yeah, good job, DC. Not your brightest moment. And he debuted in July of 1940 in All American Comics, one of the, you know, comic publishers that ended up becoming DC Comics. But it was All American Comics number 16, July 1940. And he was a railroad engineer. Well, his story actually starts thousands of years before its present day story. Thousands of years before 1940, basically. So, thousands of years ago, a green flame crashed to Earth in ancient China as a meteor. So a meteor crashed to Earth. It was just green. But it had mystical properties, and it could speak. A voice in the flame predicted that it would act 3 times. The first time
Would be death.
The second time it would act would be for life. And the third time it would act would be for power. A lamp maker finds this meteor and he makes, wait for it, a lamp out of it. Didn't see that coming, did you? Well, the other people in the village punished him for sacrilege and murdered him for making a lamp out of a meteor. That's a thing they did. So, the lamp had acted the first time. It brought death. Thousands of years pass, and the lamp ends up in the hands of a patient at Arkham Asylum. This guy turns the lamp, like he fashions it, he reorganizes it, remakes it into a railroad lantern. That's cool, I guess. Well, I guess the lamp was so grateful that it acted the second time. It cured this man's insanity and gave him a new life. So it brought life. The next person to discover the lamp, or the lantern now, it's now a lantern, pardon me, was Alan Scott. He was a young railroad engineer, and he found it after a bridge collapsed. This lantern instructs Alan Scott on how to form a ring, how to create a ring from its metal. Once he put that ring on his left hand, he gained all these superpowers. He donned a crazy looking costume. You can thank Bill Finger for that one. Sure can. In fact, it looks very similar to Batman's original costume. And he became a crime fighter whose weakness was wood. It was wood. It was 1940, okay? In the New 52 reboot that everyone loves and no one complains about, Alan Scott is not only revealed to be the Green Lantern of Earth 2, but he has also gay. So it's a nice way to make him still part of the continuity, but give him his own, twist, his own uniqueness. I doubt he's allergic to wood anymore. The next Green Lantern we get isn't until 1959 in showcase number 22. And that is where you get probably the most recognizable Green Lantern of the bunch. The name that, if you mention Green Lantern, that's the name they're probably going to say, you know, if they're not really into comic books. This is also where we get the modern idea of Green Lantern, like what we know as Green Lantern. His name was Hal Jordan. He was the son of a fighter pilot who he had to watch die in a crash. It was horrific, to say the least. And he became a test pilot himself. One day, while Hal was in a flight simulator, this green energy comes out of nowhere and envelops him. And it takes him, like it flies him to this crash site where this alien, this purple, crazy looking alien in a green suit, lays dying. This, nerdlings, is Abensour. Told you we'd talk about him there, but I lied to you. So Abensour is a Green Lantern. He is the Green Lantern of Sector 2814, which is the sector Earth is in. And he crash landed to Earth. And as he lay dying, he instructed his ring to seek out a replacement, someone worthy. Well, we find out later that the ring actually found two people who were worthy. And actually, the second one was the better choice. But Hal Jordan was closer. And, you know, Abensour was dying. There wasn't a lot of time. So the ring went with, well, this guy's right here. So we're going to go with him. Cool with you? Cool. So the ring chooses Hal because he's closer, despite that he has a few character issues that don't exactly line up with what they look for in a Green Lantern. Like, for instance, he's abrasive, he's cocky, he's sarcastic, he's arrogant. Oh my God, I think I'm Hal Jordan. As soon as he accepted the ring from Abensour and Abensour dies, Hal is whisked off by the ring to the planet at the absolute center of the universe called Oa. Oa. And there he meets the guardians of the universe. Not these guys. These guys. Good. Got it? All right. These guys are Marvel. These guys are DC. Good. Got that cleared up. So these are the guardians of the universe. And they are the oldest sentient beings in the universe. They're immortal. They're super powerful. They're tiny and blue. And they are the ones that created the Green Lantern Corps. While Hal is there, he is trained by another Green Lantern Corps member, a senior member, Sinestro. And he would go on to later become one of Hal and the Guardians' greatest enemies. We mentioned him earlier discussing how he started the Yellow Lantern Corps. But the Yellow Lanterns are, you know, they control everything over fear. As the Green Lantern for Sector 2814, he made a lot of super friends. He was a founding member of the Justice League. He went on to be considered the greatest of the Green Lanterns and currently leads them. So good for you, Hal. The next Green Lantern came out in Green Lantern Volume 2 in 1968. And he was the guy that was honestly considered the better choice above Hal Jordan, but he was too far away, which just goes to show you the most important rule of getting to become a superhero is location, location, location. Wait, that's real estate? Can it be both? His name is Guy Gardner. A lot of us know him as the Green Lantern who's just a dick. Like, later he did. When he first came out, he wasn't. He was considered the best man for the job. Back then, Guy was chosen to be Hal's backup. Like, just in case Hal wasn't available or something happened to him, Guy would be there to help out, pick up the slack, whatnot. In the New 52, it was retconned, as the New 52 did, that Guy actually earned his Green Lantern ring by saving his brother, who was pinned down during a shootout, during a police shootout. Guy actually was in a horrible accident. He tried to save this girl from a bus crash or getting hit by a bus, and he ends up being the one getting hit by the bus. And he's so damaged by it that he said something along the lines that he felt like a busted balloon filled with broken light bulbs, or a balloon filled with broken light bulbs. And he ends up going in a coma for a long time, for several months. So Guy is the one who gets hit by the bus and ends up in a coma for a long time. And when he comes out of the coma, that's when he's just a Moving on to our next Green Lantern, my favorite Green Lantern, and probably one of the most, if not the most recognizable Green Lantern. And this is because of his appearance on Justice League on Cartoon Network, voiced by the great Flt'r. I love you, Phil. I love everything you do. You will always be my Jon Stewart Green Lantern. Jon Stewart first appeared Green Lantern Volume 2, number 87 in 1972. He started out as he was just an architect. Like, he's walking down the street and there's these kids playing on the sidewalk. They're playing dominoes. And these cops start harassing these kids. Now, this is 1972. And believe it or not, Jon Stewart as the Green Lantern actually is only the third African-American superhero in all of comic history. The first being Black Panther, and the second, Falcon. And then we get Jon Stewart. So Jon Stewart's walking down the street, right? And he comes across these two cops harassing these two African-American boys who are just hanging out on the sidewalk playing dominoes. And they're telling these kids that they don't have a permit to play dominoes here. And so Jon Stewart's like, I think you need to check your law book, dude, because I don't think they need one to play dominoes. Just saying. He's like, and if they're causing a disturbance, you know, people could just walk around them. That simple. Just scoot on by. Well, when Hal Jordan kind of sees this arguing with the cops, he takes it as, well, this guy has a problem with authority. And he tells the Guardians that he doesn't think Jon's going to be the right guy for the job because he's got a problem with authority. He's like, are you sure, guys? Like, are you sure that this is the guy you want to go with? The Owens, the Guardians, like, call him out on his bullshit. And they say, we don't have time for your bigotry. Like, he's like, whoa, hold on. No, it has nothing to do with that. Like, he's got a problem with authority. And don't you think that attitude is going to, like, cause problems with what we're trying to do here? Nice save, Hal. And the Owens are like, nope, he good. Jordan ends up saying, he's like, look, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's got integrity enough for this kind of stuff, but, you know, I'm just afraid he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Well, they have since retconned Jon, again, as the do, and now, instead of him just being an architect that worked for Ferris Air, he was a member of the United States Marine Corps who got honorably discharged for calling out a superior officer on his bullshit. Are we starting to see why I like Jon Stewart so much? So he threatens this superior officer, and he ends up, you know, they were going to court-martial him at first, and he was like, do it. I'm sure the American people would love to know how you were just ready to sacrifice innocent civilians. And so they're like, he's right. So instead of court-martialing him, they give him an honorable discharge. Well, after that, he goes back home to Detroit, and he finishes his degree in architecture, and then he goes to work for Ferris Air. And in the retcons, we learn that the Guardians had picked him almost from birth. They'd been watching him pretty much his whole life. His incredible, distinguished service as a Green Lantern has earned him the position in the Owen Honor Guard, became head trainer there on OA for all new recruits. He even became a guardian at once. Like, he married his trainer, but then she got killed. And then he met this other chick after an evil guardian, like, he started, like, brainiacking everything and stealing all these cities and moving them to OA. And so he gets with this chick, Rose, and he does such a good job saving everybody that they make him a guardian. And as his repayment for this, his reward was that they brought his wife back to life. So of course he had to dump his new girl, but then she dies again. It's a whole thing. Comic books, gosh, don't try to tell me that there's no soap opera drama to them, because it just ain't true. Men will be like, I don't like soap operas. And then, you know, but he is considered, you know, one of the most honorable among the Green Lanterns. Next on our list, we have Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 3, number 48 in 1994. He was a very talented artist, you know, a starving artist. He happened to be having a nighttime beach date with his lady, and as he's sitting there, he notices this green shooting star, but it's going upward instead of down. And it turns out that it wasn't a shooting star, as you could probably deduce. It was Hal Jordan, who had gone mental after the absolute destruction of Coast City. He went on a murderous rampage, and he destroyed the Green Lantern battery. He destroyed the Guardians. Like, he went crazy. Only one of the Guardians actually survived Hal's rampage, and his name was Ganthet. He took Hal's discarded ring and forged it into the last one that they would have. Kyle sees the shooting star again as he's stepping outside to have, some air. Steps out from a nightclub into an alley, and he sees this green shooting star just like coming straight down to earth, but it was Ganthet. So Ganthet appears in this alley in front of Kyle and this drunk guy. He looks at Kyle and he's like, "You'll have to do." Later, we find out that Ganthet actually chose Kyle. Like, he purposely went to him because he knew Kyle had the ability to control all of the emotional spectrums. Like, he could manage all the power rings, all the colors of the emotional rainbow. So when he first gets his ring from Ganthet, he's considered the torchbearer for the Green Lantern Corps. It's his job to reestablish the Corps. But since then, Kyle, he became the embodiment of Will, also known as Ion. And from there, after which, he became a White Lantern. And as you know from what we discussed at the beginning of the video, White Lanterns embody all of the cores, everything in the emotional spectrum. They have power over all of it, which is why they are considered the most powerful of all the lanterns. From Kyle Rayner, we move on to Simon Baz. Simon Baz appeared in Green Lantern number 0 in 2012. Simon was an automotive engineer living in Dearborn, Michigan, near Detroit, like Jon Stewart. After losing his job in Detroit due to, the fluctuating automotive industry, he started stealing cars to make ends meet and take care of his sister. One night, after stealing a car, he notices that there's a bomb in the back. Whoops. And after narrowly escaping that explosion, the cops arrest him, and because he is of the Muslim faith and Middle Eastern descent, they harass him for it. Like, they're just not believing him that he's just a car thief. They're trying to prosecute him or charge him as a terrorist. Meanwhile, after this epic battle, Sinestro and Hal Jordan's rings malfunction. They think that they're both dead. So the rings fuse together and then go seek out a replacement lantern for Section 2814. And they were fighting the Black Hand, by the way. He created and he rules the Black Lanterns, the zombie lanterns. So the ring seeks out Simon Baz, and he becomes the newest Green Lantern. He's a founding member of the Justice League of America, which was actually formed as a contingency plan in case the Justice League goes crazy and starts killing people. Because it happens sometimes. From there, we discover Jessica Cruz, the first female Green Lantern of Earth. And Jessica has, I think, one of the better stories, one of the better Green Lantern stories. So while on a hunting trip with her friends, they come across these mobsters in the woods who are trying to bury a body. So of course, they gotta kill everybody so they don't rat them out. So these mobsters kill all of her friends, but she is able to get away. Understandably, she is just traumatized by this and becomes agoraphobic and develops severe PTSD and anxiety, just convinced and terrified that these mobsters are going to come find her and kill her as well. So she locks herself away in her house for about 3 years. She is basically held captive or prisoner by her fear. Well, it just so happens that the Hal Jordan from Earth 3 dies. Earth 3 had an alternate version of the Justice League where their lantern was called Power Ring, but it was like possessed in a way by this interdimensional traveling being called Voltham. So when that guy died, that ring with the Voltham spirit in it, or whatever you want to call him, traveled to our Earth and found Jessica Cruz. I mean, I can only imagine how freaking terrified she was. Like, wow. Voltham starts feeding off of her darkest fears. When she finally kind of caves, I mean, really, what do? You're just a normal person and you've got some serious post-traumatic stress going on. You've kept yourself hidden away in your house, in this room, to keep yourself safe and protected. And this ring comes crashing in and just starts making everything worse. It's like, God, what was the point? Oh, poor Jessica Cruz. So she succumbs to it, and Voltham takes her over. Well, the Justice League offers her help, them and Hal Jordan, and they offer to help her master her fear and, figure this out. So she goes and she stays with them, and Hal starts kind of training her. Like, she actually stayed under Hal's tutelage until Darkseid's daughter shows up. Oh, that's a scary bitch. So Grail shows up, defeats the League, and uses Jessica's ring to open a doorway to Earth 3, where the Anti-Monitor was waiting. The League is just overwhelmed by all this. Jessica and Mr. Miracle go to Earth 3, and they're seeking out the crime syndicate who knows the Anti-Monitor and has dealt with this before. But the spirit of Voltham in her ring, he gets stupid powerful. It's too much for her to control at this point. And it takes her over completely. And between, Hal's help and Cyborg, they're able to kind of pull her out of this place where Voltham keeps her kind of locked up in her own head and help her to break free. And she is able to gain control of herself, of her body, in time to throw herself in between the Black Racer and the Flash. The Black Racer has that touch of death, and she was trying to stop him from killing the Flash. So she succeeds and jumps in between them and saves the Flash. This, of course, kills her, and everyone's standing around like, oh my God, look at her. She gave her life. We're all so sad. She sacrificed her life for us, and God, she's amazing. Well, all of a sudden, her power ring just disintegrates in front of them. It just disappears. And they realize that means Voltham's gone. Well, about that time, a Green Lantern power ring drops out of the sky and like helps itself onto Jessica's finger, and she wakes up, and they realize that the Black Racer hadn't actually killed Jessica. It killed Volthoom. So he's gone. Yay! The ring sought her out after its owner died for her ability to overcome great fear. And she really had. Like, she spent all those years just living in her own fear and was able to just overcome all of that. Good for her. Jessica Cruz is a great character. Because she was made a Green Lantern just weeks after Simon Baz was, Hal Jordan, in his infinite wisdom, decided the best thing they needed to do was partner them up. So he even went so far as to combine their lantern batteries into one. So they had to be near each other. They had to partner up. They couldn't go far without the other. We all saw Ryan Reynolds' 2011 film. As wonderful as it was. I mean, it had Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Taika Waititi, Tamara Morrison, Tim Robbins. And still, it's like, well, we spent all the money on the actors. So we don't really have much left for production, directing, story. And that's a shame, because I'd like a good Green Lantern movie. Years ago, we were supposed to get one with Common as the Green Lantern. I would have watched that. But of course, that fell through as well. That's a shame. I always felt like Idris Elba would be a great Jon Stewart. I would really like to hear your opinions on who you think would be a good Green Lantern. We were supposed to get Green Lantern in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but we all know how that turned out. I've really got to say that Green Lantern is really up there for me, favorite characters-wise. He really is. I mean, there's a Green Lantern for everyone. There really is. I mean, if you like your sarcastic a-holes, like Guy Gardner, who's now a Red Lantern, a Rage Lantern, then we've got you. You like sweet guys that are, sensitive and artistic, and, that's their true power. You got Kyle Rayner. You like guys that, you like heroes that exude that confidence and that authority, yet aren't afraid to question it if it doesn't feel right to him. Jon Stewart. And then, of course, you've got the man's man, Hal Jordan. Jessica Cruz. Who can't relate to Jessica Cruz? I mean, she's dealing with all this anxiety and PTSD and depression, and still she just absolutely comes through and not only saves herself, but the Justice League and the universe. It's just awesome. There's a Green Lantern for everybody. And then, of course, all the other Lantern Corps, they have their own books. Well, some of them do. And, again, there's something for everybody. If you have a favorite Green Lantern or a favorite Lantern Corps, or, for that matter, favorite Lantern period, comment down below, please. I'd love to talk about it. Well, my little nerdlings, that's all I've got today on the Green Lantern and the Lantern Corps. I had fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. I should have mentioned like 15 videos ago, but if you're interested in the makeup that I use on, my face for these videos, I put it in the description down below, so make sure you check that out. You can find me on Instagram at Comics and Cosmetics right here. You can also find us on the Twitter at D_Sonsasie. It's SONCASIE. You can also find us on Facebook at Comics and Cosmetics. If you like the content that I'm putting out here, please let me know. Hit like, hit subscribe, ring the bell, give me some comments. I do love hearing from you guys. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Have an awesome wizard day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.